Hey y'all, welcome back to Tab Space. So today we are about to get into a video about a woman named Brianna Williams. I made this video and I rewatched it and realized that I had to remove my biases and I had to take a moment to reflect in order to do so. So I was also not feeling too well right after creating the video, so I just say, you know what, let's just start from scratch, react to it. This is going to be a 3-part video. It might be a little bit more than 3 parts just because of the amount of time that I have, but we're going to work with what we got and then we're going to keep it pushing. So today we're just going to watch. I'm going to try to avoid putting in too much commentary, but I will put in, my little things so that way we can kind of get to the bottom of this, because I think it's a really good example of how to spot signs of abuse, how to deal with it better while you are dealing with it, or even when you're in the aftermath of it. And then we're just gonna go from there. So thank y'all for tuning in, and without further ado, let's get into the video.
Nothing is to be taken.
Oh, I almost forgot to mention, this video is from one of my favorite content creators. Her name is Yanni. She has a channel called Between Two Worlds with Yanni, where she does content that I would say is in a lane where I'm trying to head. It's kind of reactionary, a little more spiritual. She kind of tells you the little lessons that you can take from each situation. So I really like her channel. Y'all should check her out. I'm gonna leave the link to this video in my description so y'all can watch it for yourself if you don't want to hear me yap. But yeah, let's get into it.
As factual, we are just here to have conversation. We don't expose and we don't sip tea on this channel. I'm giving you real talk, straight, no chaser. Let's see if you can handle it.
Are you jealous, ugly bitches? Very perfect black ass. And guess what? Today, you're one of those bitches.
Finally came back to my apartment. Your entire life can change in the blink of an eye. 1 minute, I am creating content with someone who I thought I could spend my life with, and the next minute, I'm cleaning up the destruction that their hands left. I finally came back to my apartment, and my goals this week are to be kind to myself and to stay out of bed. I'm spending time with my son, and I went and bought myself flowers, but in all of this, I realized that healing is not linear, that everything happens for us, not to us. There has to be something at the end of this tunnel, and I'm just waiting to see that light. But until then, being awake is enough. Being here is enough, and I'm thankful for that.
Hi tribe, it's Yanni and I'm back with another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Brianna Williams story. This story was sent to me by a mentee of mine, and she asked and she requested that I do a full breakdown of this story. Brianna Williams is a LA attorney, an image architect, and she's a luxury lifestyle traveler, digital creator. Some would say she is a part of the luxury digital creating space online, and she recently informed her fan base that the man that she had posted on her platform as her boyfriend and model allegedly has been abusing her.
It's been a really long and tough couple of nights. And I guess day or so, because this thing happened yesterday. But I did want to come over here, and because I already posted these pictures, which I know are gruesome and not self-explanatory, I did want to come on here and kind of explain what happened with everything. So this might be a multi-part, not a series, but I guess video, because I don't want to be talking on here for 20 minutes. But I did want to come here and talk about pretty much what happened. Yeah. Just to start, this is a really heavy source of pain for me. It's been really hectic. So basically, long story short, I'll start the situation from when I left town. I decided to go on a trip with my mom. Originally, my sister was supposed to come on the trip. I don't even want to get into the weeds of that and make this about my sisters. I've been seeing comments and their contributions that are extremely negative. It was all relative to this European trip that we were supposed to take. They didn't end up coming, or one of my sisters didn't, and that just became its own thing, which is now why they're, I guess, showing support for this guy. I don't want to get into that. I just leave it to them and their platforms. Whatever. But we were planning this trip and I booked the tickets. The reason that I did not want to go to Europe with Ronan is because honestly, I just want to be honest with you guys, he couldn't afford it. And I know that if he was going to come out there and we were going to go to all of these beach clubs and restaurants, I was going to be taking on the bulk, if not all of the financial responsibility, as was pretty standard in the relationship, because
My bad, yo. My mic was off. So I do want to just real quick kind of point something out. So because of this woman's lifestyle, I would strongly advise the ladies against dating below your tax bracket. Because in my personal experience, and I can only speak on mine, I'm not going to speak on anybody else's. I'm sure that there are men out there that are below their woman's tax bracket that can treat them right. But a lot of times this power dynamic breeds them being very abrasive and internalizing this anger because they're not able to fulfill their duties as what they would consider as being a man. You know, a lot of men feel as though they should be providing. If they're not able to do so, even though it's not your fault and you're just trying to be a good woman to them, they will often internalize that and then blow up on you and take that out on you because of their situation that they put themselves in. So, my personal experience, it's not to say that it's not a surprise that somebody would do something like this in his situation, but I would expect this out of somebody like that more than I would on the flip, when a man is able to provide and do his job as a provider.
Because he does not have a job. So I was going to be taking on the bulk of that and I did not want that. So I did not invite him to Europe. And I didn't think it was a good idea that we even went together because right before the Europe trip, he had gotten caught cheating with someone like down the street. It was like this big thing and I don't want to get into that either. But I just did not, I had checked out and I stopped wanting to be with him. And that is why I stopped posting content with him. I had originally stopped posting content because I did not want to be in a relationship with him anymore. I also had a real guilt in my heart about the fact that I knew what was happening behind closed doors and I know what I stand for. I know I'm a girl's girl. I know I'm an advocate for, I know I'm an advocate for women and empowerment and information exchange and love and honor and all of those things. And what was going on behind closed doors with us did not align with the things that I promote and take pride in publicly. So, I wanted to take this trip and I ended up booking it. He was very upset that I booked it. He wanted me to take him. He wanted me to pay for him to go. At one point he asked me to put him on my car loan so that he could take out a loan to go to the trip and he could they could use my car as collateral or something like that. I was like, no, I just want to go by myself, and I ended up going. I ended up booking this trip. My mom ended up coming because all of this fallout happened with my sisters or whatever. And on the trip, I had decided to separate myself from him. Now, I want to start with the day before I left. The day that I left. The day that I left, he actually tried to make me miss my flight. The entire day he physically assaulted me. He sprained my toe. I had bruises from head to toe. He just hurt me, and he just kept on physically assaulting me. And again, I think it was because he just didn't want me to go, and I almost didn't even make the trip. I actually was 5 minutes, I got to the airport at 4:03 and the flight left to Europe, to Ibiza, at 4:50. They told me I was originally not going to get on the flight, and I actually ended up getting on the flight because I was crying and limping and like, no, I planned this whole thing. My mom's waiting for me in Spain. What am I going to do? So they literally let me check my flight. I already checked in the car, but they let me check my bag and such, so we were good. But leading up to me going to Ibiza was hell. I was physically assaulted over and over and over again for hours and hours and hours on end, to which I made my family aware and such. And that, in conjunction with his cheating, in conjunction with his inability to provide or keep a stable job, are the reasons that I was like, this Europe trip is going to be time that I use to reflect, to cut him off. Okay, so I just want to end this part with saying that I decided to go on a trip. I decided that during the trip we would go our separate ways, and the trip was for me to find myself again. And he abused me prior to the trip, like the day of me going to the trip. So it just like further confirmed that we would never work. And I made sure I called my building before I left, because I was able to get him out of my apartment. He wanted to stay when I was gone. I did not want him in my apartment, did not want him driving my car. I took my keys with me. I locked the door. That was a huge, huge, huge fight. Oh my God, it took me hours to get out, but I made sure, and I called down to my building for proof. I have a witness that I told them, do not let anybody in my apartment while I'm gone. There are no authorized guests. There was no authorized guest. Nobody can go in my apartment. Do not let anybody in my unit. And then I flew to Europe. Once I got on the flight, I started texting him. I was very hurt, confused, and lost. I wanted to let him know how I felt, and I kind of wanted him to feel the pain that I felt. And I was just telling him I hate him and all of these like things that women say when they're super upset and traumatized. So I was texting him all of those things like, you know, you did this, you did this, you did this, and I'm so upset and whatever. He was pretty much dismissive about it. I'll probably like post the text here. And I just decided at that point and during the trip that there was no more reason for us to speak. We'd been through too much. There was too much abuse and cheating and all of that stuff that went on. So I decided to sever ties. I blocked him from everything, would not let him contact me. He started harassing my mom. My mom also had to block him and tell him stop contacting her. He then reached out to my sisters. My older sister wasn't going for it. My two younger sisters, different story, but form your own opinions on that. I don't even want to talk about it. And so it was finally time for me to come home. I got to my building on July.
So I do also want to note that, like, the fact that he tries to triangulate the siblings and the mom and all these things, like, that's classic abuser behavior. And once we, like, really get further and further into this, I think you'll start to see where his triangulation is kind of working to an extent. And it's pushing a family away from each other. And an abuser always wants to get you isolated. They do not want you to have people to look back to and be able to tell you, hey, you need to get out of there. They don't want that. They want as much control over you as they can have. And if they can control the narrative and get in front of what they've done and try to make you out to be the bad guy, they're going to do so. And this is where a lot of victims, or survivors I should say, have issues coming out about their abuse. Because of the triangulation, because you feel like nobody's going to believe you, because they villainize you to your people. He set the stage, which, you know, he does, and the way he's doing it is in a very sick and overt manner, to where, like, mom's blocking, and there's messages on messages. Like, it's too much. Originally when I was making the video, I was gonna read the messages to y'all, but I think it'd just be easier if y'all want to pause, read, and go from there. Probably be best, because it was slowing me all the way down the first time. But anyway,
July the 12th at, I believe, 10 o'clock at night. And when I pulled up to my building, I was on the phone with my dad, and I was talking about how excited I was to be back. And lo and behold, he was already standing in front of the building waiting for me. I don't know how he knew what time I got in. I don't know how he knew what flight. He knew what day I was supposed to be coming back, I think, from when we had talked before. I don't know if he'd seen my ticket. I just don't know. But he knew, he timed it. He was standing in front of my apartment building waiting for me outside. When I didn't even get out the cab, he opened the car door and was like, let's go. He grabbed my bags from the cab driver, and he tried to take my stuff upstairs, and he told me we're going upstairs. I told him we are not going upstairs, and I told him that I did not feel safe with him going upstairs, because I know that he was upset that I'd blocked him during the trip, and I knew that things were getting out of hand, and if I got alone with him upstairs in my apartment, that I was going to be further physically assaulted and pressured into things that I didn't want to do probably. So I did not feel safe with him going upstairs. We had not spoken for quite some time, and I told him he couldn't go upstairs. He had my bags in his hands. He starts yelling, "Shut up." He starts name calling me. He starts grabbing me. The security guards downstairs see him grabbing me. There's 2 security guards, and they immediately try to alleviate the situation. They're like, "Hey, stop touching her. She said you can't go upstairs. You can't go." There's a huge argument in the lobby. He's like, "I'm going. I don't give a fuck. Tell her." Oh, I don't know if I'm able to say that on here. Hopefully that doesn't get flagged. I don't know. I've never done this before. But he's like, "I'm going. I don't give an F. Tell her that, you know, she needs to take me upstairs. I just need to get my stuff." Mind you, he told me early on when I'd first left and we were having those text exchanges and I'd locked my door and left the house, that he'd called security and they had escorted him into my house and they had already given him his property. He had gone through my apartment, got what he wanted, and left. So this is all in contravention to me calling security and telling them not to let anybody in my unit when I'm gone under any circumstances, to which they agreed to. They didn't care. When I left, they went, used their master key, unlocked my unit, and let him into my apartment. And he was able to take whatever in his things. He is not on the lease, and he is not an authorized person in the building. So I don't know how and why that happened. So when he showed up, as I was coming back from the airport, demanding that I take him in my apartment to get his things, I was confused because I knew that he'd already been in that apartment with security. Allegedly, he was like, "Oh, they walked with me allegedly, like, to get his stuff." And I know for a fact he was in the apartment, but I don't know if he got anything. I don't know what he did. I don't know what him and security were doing. He's made friends with the security guards at the building, and I guess they had a relationship where they were taking him in my house. Long story short, security let him into my building when I was not there. So when he did come back and meet me and bombard me at the door when I finally got off my flight, demanding his things from my apartment, it was strange because he already had been inside my apartment to get his things. So I don't know. I then, I would not let him in. A entire debacle ensued. I told him, I finally said, "Hey, I'll go upstairs and get your stuff," because he was manhandling me downstairs to the point where securities had to intervene. I said, "I'll go ahead and get it and bring it down, but I do not want you coming upstairs to my door." There are 3. Once you get up the elevator, which requires key access, there's a middle door which requires further key access to the unit. How, but he was standing with 2 security guards charging his phone on the wall and then causing a scene, saying that he needed to get to me to talk to me. I handed him his things immediately and was like, "Gotta go." I turned around to leave and he starts chasing me down the hallway. Security starts chasing him, so everyone's chasing each other. It's very ghetto, very strange, and I'm telling him I don't want to have a conversation. There's literally nothing to talk about. At that point, I was over it. There's so much that has gone on, so much egregious, nefarious things that have gone on in this relationship. I did not want to talk. Security asked me in front of him, "Do you want to talk to him?" I said no. They said, "Listen, sir, she does not want to have a conversation with you. You need to go." They had tried to physically restrain him because he was trying to physically attack me. And he stood in the hallway and he was just like, "No, it's fine. She's good. I'm not touching her." He always does that. Like, he'll try to be like, "Oh," he'll put his hands on me and be like, "I'm not putting my hands on you." But you are. He told them, "I'm not touching her, blah, blah." At that point, I like slid against the wall. I'm like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do?" I think I have a little video clip of that. I'll try to add that to this, actually.
Touch you, I'm not touching her. It's okay. All right, but I still gotta let you know. You gotta do shit. Look, bro, you gotta do shit. You like put your hand. It's okay, bro. You're. I don't care. Hey,
After the incident with security, they were finally able to get him to leave, and he left. Though he called me all night long, he finally did leave my property. Next thing you know, I go to sleep. I wake up early in the morning. He's at my door. He's pushing himself inside the door. I open the door to see who is outside the door, and he's pushing himself inside. Apparently, he had bypassed security, or actually, I don't think he bypassed them. I think that they were in on it because he did say, which was confirmed, and I'll release all of this video footage, by the security guard, that the woman downstairs spoke to him and showed him some group chat between the security guards discussing the incident from the night prior. He also did say that he was somehow able to come up. He went through the elevator, which again requires a security card. He went through the residential door unit, which requires security, and he got to my door. He pushed himself inside, and the first thing he did was try to force himself upon me. I did not want to have sex with him, and I just completely was like over it. I was obviously still upset from the night before. He did not care. He wanted to have sex at that point. I was telling him to leave. I told him I did not want him to be there. I told him several times, and ultimately, like, I guess maybe a couple hours later, like, this went on for a little while, the physical fight started. It started when he picked me up and by my face, and he slammed me on the couch, and he called me a stupid fucking bitch. Damn, can I say that on here? He called me a stupid effing B. And then he just continued to grab grabbed my face in the palm of his hand, smashed his face in there, and just kept palming me, snatching me, squeezing my face. My lips are busting at this point. My mouth filled up with blood. My nose filled up with blood. He's throwing me around. At one point, he slams my head against the bathroom wall. He's spitting loogies in my face over and over. He slams my head against the toilet. He's holding me against the toilet. He's smashing my face against the toilet. He's dragging me all over the apartment. I'm actually trying to fight back. I am hitting. I am swinging. I am scratching. But obviously, he's much bigger than me. I'm like 140 pounds. I'm 5'10" though. And he is like 6'3", 200 pounds. So there was a very obviously uneven power struggle there. I continued to swing at him. At one point I did hit him right here, and he got really mad at that. I realized the more I fought back, the more upset that he was. So he came up to me, he grabbed me by the face, literally by the face and the neck, and picked me up and slammed me on the floor. I believe that is when I got a concussion, as ruled by the hospital later on. While I was on the floor, he then punched me in the eye. My eye's looking a lot better now, but it was like really looking bad. He hit me in the eye, and then he hit me again in the face. So I'm on the floor, my face is swelling up, my nose is bleeding, my mouth is bleeding, and I can't even open my left eye. Literally, the moment it happened, it immediately started swelling, and it was just a mess. From that point, I lost consciousness, and I started shaking, and I just remember begging him to take me to the hospital. I knew that he wasn't going to let me go anywhere alone. I knew he would let me make any phone calls because he took my phone. So at that point, I just started begging him to take me to the hospital. I'm getting a lot of questions about why I'm telling the story kind of in the fashion I am. I think it's because I am someone who also watches TikTok, and I hate when people just drag things out, and I hate when people like talk really slow, and I typically watch my videos on high speed. I also feel insecure about being a burden on others and taking up people's time. I don't want to drag this out longer than it is, so I'm just trying to like tell it really fast, like get it out, and that.
Pay attention to that trait. The fear of being a burden on others. When you make yourself small all the time for other people, you're susceptible to people taking advantage of that. I had to learn that quite some time ago. Don't ever feel like you need to make yourself small for anybody else. I don't care who it is. It could be your mom, your dad, your siblings, your partner. I don't care who it is. Don't ever feel like you need to make yourself small for anybody. Especially not these people on the internet.
That be done with it. Okay, so I had to come inside because it was super loud out there. I was just trying to get some fresh air. So part 5. I started begging him to take me to the hospital after my body started convulsing. I had a concussion by that time, and my eye was bulging, lips bleeding, everything bleeding, nose leaking, everything happening. The reason that I begged him to take me to the hospital is because I knew that otherwise he wouldn't leave the apartment, and I wasn't going to get out of the apartment. And I kept on saying, that I'm gonna die, like you're gonna kill me if you keep me in here, because I don't know. Okay, all right, so I finally convinced him to take me to the hospital, and he said he was gonna take me to the hospital, and he starts like, I don't know, he starts looking for things, getting things. I'm like still trying to fight him off me. He's like trying to put me into little corners of my house, like sit right here, don't move, sit right here, don't move, sit right here. Like he threw me over his shoulder, he tried to carry me to the bed, put ice on my eye. I'm just like, please take me to the hospital. I don't want you to give me ice, I don't want any of this, take me to the hospital right now. He finally then walks out of my apartment with me to take me to the hospital. He grabs my keys, he grabs my phone, he's holding my keys and phone the entire time. I don't have access to it. And everyone's like, why didn't you call the police? He had my keys and my phone. He then walks out to the parking garage, and we walk out to the parking garage. I see a man in my distance that seemed like he was kind of bigger, so I'm like, okay, he might be able to help me. So I start screaming at the top of my lungs when I see someone. Finally, I scream, help, help, help. So the man finally comes over to help, and he then picks me up, throws me over his shoulder, and starts running me back towards the apartment, towards the residential hall doors to get me back into my apartment. I was like, no, I was holding on to everything in sight. I was holding on to doors, my nails are literally felt all loose. I'm like holding on to things, scratching things, grabbing everything, grabbing the floor, grabbing everything, grabbing the door frames, putting my feet in the door frame so that he could not get me into the door. Then the man comes and he's like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? He starts talking to the guy. He's like distracted or something. I guess like the guy intervened. I don't really know. There was something happened that distracted him that allowed me to get from his arms at that point. If we were sitting right here, directly perpendicular to the elevator. So I run to the elevator. A couple is in there. They run out. I guess they're super scared. He runs in there after me, trying to grab me. I sit down. I crouch down on the elevator floor, and I grab the bar, like I don't know, it's the support bar, like the pull or whatever. I grab it and I'm holding onto it for dear life. The guy follows us in the elevator. He's like, hey, stop, because he saw like the whole debacle on the floor with him trying to get me through the doors. And I was like, at one point I was laying on the floor. He was like trying to drag me. He was throwing me over his shoulder. He just couldn't get me through the doors back into the apartment because I had already started screaming help, and I knew someone heard me and saw me. So going back, I'm in the elevator and I'm holding on to the pole for dear life, and he's trying to pull me by my leg and grab me and pull me out of the elevator and such. The guy I was screaming for help originally, he came in the elevator. He's like, dude, let her go. I don't know what's going on. You can't do this, all of these things. And he's just like frantically pacing at this point. He doesn't know what to do. I'm talking about Ronan, because he knows like there's someone else there and he can't get me alone again. So the guy was just like, shut the elevator door, get out of the elevator. And for some reason he listened. And so the guy got in the elevator with me. Ronan left out of the elevator, and it was just me and the guy. And at that point I knew that I was going to be safe. I was going to be able to at least get to a phone and make some calls. So I was crouched in the corner of the elevator, and the guy was like, it's okay, you don't have to sit down, just stand up, you're gonna be fine, stand up, I'm here, just, we're gonna be okay. And I was just still crouching. He's like, no, come here, just stand up, let go of the bar, you're fine. So I let go and I stood up, and we were finally at the first floor. I walked straight to the lobby desk and I said, hey, I need you to call the police right now. Again, my whole face is dripping. So the girl at the front desk is just looking at me. Another security guard told me that girl at the front desk, she's new, she's quite young. One of the other security guards, and I have the footage, he told me that...
Don't know what happened to the audio there, but that was not me, y'all.
The girl was younger, she's a young black girl, she's new, and I think that he might have been also cool with her, because he was making security guards friends with them in my building so that he could get access to my unit and such. That she was likely the one who let him up. So when I told her to call the police, she kind of froze, and she just stood there with the phone in her hand, just looking at me. I think there's like a housekeeping knock, and I got scared. Hold on. Okay, I heard a knock at my door and my heart dropped. I think I'm just gonna end this one right here. So at the end of the day,
that's one of them feelings that I like cannot be described. When you have been, someone's put their hands on you, and then you go somewhere for safety, or you're at home because you don't have anywhere else to go, and you're just like paranoid. Like every knock, you're like, someone come check on you, you're freaking out. Like every time you turn around, you're looking over your shoulder to make sure that person doesn't come up and do something crazy to you. Like, it's terrifying, y'all. It's like, I hate that for anybody in that scenario, genuinely.
I begged him to take me to the hospital. He agreed. He took me to the parking garage. I kicked and screamed once I got to the garage because I saw other people. Again, I didn't call anyone or do anything. He had my keys. He had my cell phone. Someone helped me. I found my way to the elevator. They helped me downstairs to the lobby. I knew I would be able to call the police from the front desk. And this part ends with me at the front desk and the girl at the front desk. I told her to call and she's kind of like freezing, just standing there like this.
He left, and then I guess he must have came back later on because I left at 12.
He came back this morning.
Okay, yeah, see, I wasn't here.
He said he talked to someone. He was like, oh, they said that there's some security guard group chat and they
That
posted a
lady,
video.
it was the lady, because when I came here, it was the lady at the front desk.
And she showed him that?
Yeah.
She said she showed him the group chat that they have with security guards or something like that. And she was like...
Yeah, because you remember I had made...
There's a big commotion at the lobby at this point. I'm yelling to call the police. Other people are actually saying call the police too. The girl's kind of frozen, and she finally starts dialing the police. He runs around the back of the building, bursts in. He has no shirt on. He's sweating. He looks crazy. He's like, don't call the police. He tells the girl, do not call the police. I'm going to handle this. I'm taking her to the hospital. We're going to handle this together. Do not call the police. The girl's just looking at him. The leasing agent comes down and he's like, no, call the police. Call the police. She gets on the phone with the police. The leasing agent, some other security guards, people who worked there, they took me to the back and they put me in a room. It was like the leasing office actually, and they locked the door and such. They brought me water and they said, we're gonna call an ambulance. I didn't even ask for one. They just looked at my face and knew I needed one. The ambulance arrived and they said that I needed to go to the hospital to be checked out. I ended up going to the hospital. They gave me a CAT scan, MRI. I had to get IVs in my arm. It was really horrible experience. They actually gave me morphine because I was in so much pain. At that point, my eye was completely shut. It was really painful. And they also took record of my other injuries because, like I said, this has been going...
Hold on, y'all, cause your girl is struggling a little bit. Hold on. And we was doing good too.
Going on for a long time, and right before I even went on my trip, I also had gotten abused. And even, you can't even see it right here, he had like hit me in the chest, and I was already battered. So they were just taking record of all of these injuries, including the new ones, and the LAPD came. The LAPD came to the hospital. They asked me what happened. I told them everything. I told them I wanted to move forward with pressing charges. I told them that I wanted a emergency protective order, which I do have. So I do have a restraining order. I am getting it extended to the normal restraining order. He actually tried to call me while I was in the hospital. I did not answer. I told him to stop calling me. And I said, I'm in the hospital, stay away from me. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of everything. I wasn't going to come on social media and say anything, but I woke up the next day after having to go to a hotel. Now, on that, the police and the hospital staff could not release me if I didn't show proof that I had an alternate place to stay. I could not go back to my apartment because now it's just considered a straight up safety issue. We don't know where he is. I know he's like contacting people and such that I know, but we don't know where he's at. He has not made contact with the police. They went to the address that I gave him. He's not there. I don't know what he's doing, but I do know that after getting to the hotel, I've been here for 2 days now. I wake up on social media and he's posting things, and that's basically how we got here. I guess I'll get into that.
All right, y'all. So your girl got to get her hair done, meaning I gotta cut this short. But I will say this: what he is doing is called the smear campaign. It is a normal part of abuse. If you are experiencing abuse, expect the smear campaign. Expect the person to go out of their way to try to discredit your character so that way they can make themselves look like you're the one that was the aggressor, you're the abuser. Sometimes they're successful in that if the people that you know don't really know you as a person. or if the people that they are choosing to tell this information to just so happen to be the abuser's flying monkeys. And a flying monkey is just a person that will co-sign anything an abuser says based off of a bias, whatever the bias is. A lot of times flying monkeys could be the abuser's parents or the abuser's friends, or just people that they have a vested interest in the abuser and not so much in the abused. Don't ever let that deter you from your healing process or your journey. Let that be confirmation to never go back, because this person is going to treat you ill and then they're going to deflect. And maybe in their mind they really do see it as you were abusive to them, or maybe they're just being manipulative. It could be a little bit of both, but just know that about abuse. And again, another deterrent for somebody that's been abused to come out and tell their story is the smear campaign. I recall in my life experiencing the smear campaign, or at least the attempt of a smear campaign that blew up very badly in my abuser's face due to them not being as smart or strategic as they thought that they were with the smear campaign. So yeah, appreciate y'all tuning in, and I will be back very shortly for us to get further into this video. Bye y'all.